to put this in perspective, the last time Detroit won a game, October 28th, there were people still out looking for their Halloween costumes at the last minute. That was the last time Detroit won a game. Also, James Harden was still a member of the Sixers. Again, that is how long it's been since Detroit won, which means they are a really bad team. But given that the Lakers were coming off this absolutely abysmal showing in Philadelphia, 44-point loss, the fifth worst loss in franchise history in terms of point differential and just getting crushed in a game. I know it's no great accomplishment to beat Detroit, but it was really important, I think, for the psychology of this team, for them to come in and absolutely control it from start to finish, the way you expect a team like the Lakers that has visions of contending this season and so far has not played at that level on anywhere close to a consistent basis. Yes, there are reasons for that to some degree. Obviously, the absences of Jared Vanderbilt, who's yet to play, Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura. Cam Reddish just got back after missing a few games with a groin strain. They have had guys in and out of the lineup. They are adopting a new offense, yada, yada, yada. But you still want evidence of the Lakers acting the way contenders do, which is destroying really bad teams. And that's what they did tonight. 877-710-ESPN. If you want to call in, you can also hit me up on Twitter at Cam Brothers. See everybody in the ESPN LA Lakers postgame community. Very thriving network. Would love to hear from you guys there as well. Again, 877-710-ESPN. If you want to weigh in, also, reminder, don't miss a minute of the action this entire season. All Laker games are now streaming on the ESPN LA app. You can download the ESPN LA app in the App Store or Google Play. And this was a game where there were a lot of good performance in this game and a few standouts, but I thought the tone of this game was really set from the outset by D'Angelo Russell as both a scorer and as a playmaker. He had 13 points in the first in the first quarter. Finishes this game with 35 points, 13 of 17 from the field, 5 of 7 from behind the arc, 4 of 5 at the line, plus 9 assists, a steal, 2 blocks from D'Angelo Russell, and he was also involved with moments like this.
Here is D'Angelo Russell, alley-oop, killer catch and finish. Timeout, Detroit.
I feel bad for Detroit.
Anthony Davis made a great catch and finish at the rim, and the Lakers are up 7 with 7:18 to go in the first. Lakers 15, Pistons 8.
D'Angelo Russell is part of making Michael Thompson feel bad for the Detroit Pistons, the same Detroit Pistons that when Michael was part of the Showtime Lakers, he despised them with the heat of 1,000 suns. But yet, D'Angelo Russell was actually part of making him feel bad for those same Pistons. That's another game driven by your Southern California Toyota dealers. We make it easy. And the teamwork between D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis in this game was really, really on strong display, particularly in the first half. You saw, I want to say in the first quarter, there were at least 3 pick and roll sequences, if not back to back to back, pretty close to that, where you had D'Lo going off a screen from Anthony Davis and then setting him up for a lob, setting him up for a bounce pass, all these different sequences setting up AD for really, really easy looks at the basket. And it's funny, D'Angelo Russell has been a polarizing player really his entire career, but that includes his time in the Lakers, whether you're talking about his first stint when they drafted him or his return midseason last year. D'Lo has always been a player that has a lot of detractors because of certain things that he doesn't do. whether you're talking about defensively, certain things that I don't think he'll ever be capable of because by his own admission, the athleticism is not there for him by NBA standards. The strength isn't there for him by NBA standards. He's not a guy with a type of like intensity that fans often look for from their players. Like D'Lo, he's got a smoothness to him. He's got a laid back nature to him. But one thing you cannot complain about with D'Angelo Russell in his time part 2 with the Lakers, he looks for AD all the time. Like he is probably more conscious. I actually forget probably. He's definitely the most conscious guy on this team when it comes to constantly seeking out AD, constantly looking to set him up for shots. And that's really important because, Anthony Davis, for this team to go where the franchise and where fans want it to go, Anthony Davis has to be game in and game out the most important player on this team, the best player, the most player on this team on both sides of the ball whenever possible. The defense you pretty much can always count on from Anthony Davis, and tonight was no exception. He had 3 blocks, a steal, at least somewhere between 5 to 10 just altered shots around the rim. He was his usual fantastic self defensively. He is, I think, the most versatile defender in the league. At his absolute best, Anthony Davis is on the short list of real contenders for Defensive Player of the Year. And offensively, I think the talk of his inconsistency sometimes can be a little bit overblown. He is being asked to do an awful lot. But at the same time, no points, only 1 shot the second half in the recent loss to Dallas. The game that he just had against Joel Embiid where he wasn't bad, but 17 points compared to what Joel Embiid did in a 30-point triple-double. Not what you need, not what the team needs. It's important that this team goes out of their way to try to feature Anthony Davis as much as possible. And again, D'Angelo Russell, for whatever faults he has as a player, and he is definitely flawed to some respect. He's good, very good player, but he's flawed in some respects. One of those flaws has never been not trying enough to get Anthony Davis going. And I think recognizing the importance of getting AD going and what it means for this team. And look, the Lakers hopefully are in a good frame of mind, well-rested as far as the starters go, stuff like that, for this game tomorrow against OKC, because these young Thunders, man, they're no joke. They are really, really good. I mean, even the rosiest projections, I think, for them heading into this season, they have been outperforming them. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an MVP caliber player, first-team All-NBA. Chet Holmgren, Wembanyama might end up the better player in the long run. He certainly is, the more unicorny type player. But Chet Holmgren so far has been the rookie of the year, and I don't think it's that close. He's actually coming off a really good showing recently against Embiid and the 76ers. They got a really good supporting cast. We're going to talk about that more as this show goes on, just this upcoming matchup with the Thunder. But it's really good, I think, for the Lakers to be heading into that game feeling really good about themselves, having cleared whatever negativity came from that loss against Philly, hopefully learning all the right lessons from a film session, hopefully feeling like we can bring the best out of ourselves against a team that is difficult to play in their house. And so far, they've been a better team than us. But so far, so good. At worst, also, and this is why this win tonight mattered, at worst, they will finish 2-2 on this road trip. Difficult road trip. So that really matters. More this matchup, what we saw tonight, what we saw from LeBron, Cam Reddish's return. We'll hear from Darvin Ham. All sorts of stuff coming up next. This is a Lakers postgame show on 710 ESPN.
Now, sit down. LA Sports 710 ESPN. A good sports break pizza. Now you have to use good taste, good price. Introduce pizza 7 deal menu. To repeat,
way up now. 79-52.
And those were just two of the Lakers' 58 points in the paint against the Detroit Pistons' 133-107 win. In Detroit, they also beat Detroit 49-39 on the boards. And when's the last time we've heard about the Lakers beating any team on the glass? Again, 58 points in the paint for the Lakers tonight. Points in the paint all season long, sponsored by VistaPaint, locally owned and manufactured for over 65 years. VistaPaint is your home for factory direct, high-quality paint products. VistaPaint, your championship team of paint professionals for over 65 years. Andy Kamenetsky in for Beto Duran on the Lakers postgame show. Reminder, don't miss a minute of the action this Lakers season. All Lakers games now streaming on the ESPN LA app. Download the ESPN LA app in the App Store or Google Play. And we're talking before about that synergy between D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis. You know, you're going to be – a lot of people are going to be watching to see how Chet Holmgren and Anthony Davis square off against each other. AD is going to be on the second end of a back-to-back. You know, one where he definitely did work, but I don't think overworked himself along the way to 28 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and 3 blocks, 10 of 13 from the line, 9 of 15 from the field. But it didn't feel like AD was taxing himself, and that's really important because this game against the Thunder is a difficult way to end what has been a difficult road trip. But worst comes to worst, the Lakers finish this road trip 2-2. That's a nice showing, you know, considering everything going on with this team. They're 11-8 now during a period where they very clearly have been trying to figure some stuff out. They're still not quite comfortable offensively, and with this new 5-out system that Darvin Ham has implemented, they definitely are still figuring out a rotation. They're still figuring out, you know, when they're going to get all these guys back, what it's going to look like. Still no Jared Vanderbilt, still no Rui Hachimura, still no Gabe Vincent. Cam Reddish did at least return tonight, and that's good. But the best thing about a win like tonight, you know, stacking that one up, is during this period of trying to figure it out, the Lakers have not hurt themselves in the process, and that's really important. Darvin Ham spoke after tonight's 133-107 win over the Pistons, and here is what he had to say.
Darvin, what did you think was behind the hot start in the first quarter, offensively especially?
I mean, again, we both this morning watching the film, the edit on ourselves, and getting to the gym, and just all the conversations as a group, the many conversations, just talking about playing with pace and force and moving the ball, playing downhill, and being aggressive. You know, not being indecisive, not again being out of rhythm, just doing everything on time, on target, with pace and force, and then defensively trying to set a tone on that side of the ball. And just, you know, continuing to establish how it is we want to play, regardless of the opponent. And I think tonight was another good step in that direction.
When D'Angelo gets in that kind of a rhythm, is there anything that you lean into with it, or does he kind of dictate and feel out the aggressiveness there?
Man, you just keep running it back, you know. Your favorite song, whatever it is, and you got access to put it on repeat. That's what we did. You know, we found an action that he was thriving in, and until the other team stops it, you know, you just keep running it back. And he really was great all night on both sides. He had some great defensive possessions as well.
Just anything early on Jackson Hayes with the elbow?
Not as of yet. I thought us holding him out in the second half was more precautionary. Obviously, with another game coming tomorrow in OKC, just wanted to be safe and you know, allow him to get a full evaluation between now and then.
Did you see LeBron take on your glass half full approach? I mean, he looked like a kid in warm-ups, like really loose, confident. Did you see that, sense that?
Absolutely. You know, Bron is, you know, obviously, I think I said this a couple nights ago, just his individual talent places him, you know, at the top of the food chain. But the way he's wired, the way he's built, he's all about team. He's a team guy, and he understands the energy that he gives off. So if he's walking around moping and dropping his head, and we all get frustrated with certain performances, that's just called being human. When you're not at your best, you feel like you're not at your best, but he understands the energy he gives off. He's seen a ton throughout his life, let alone his basketball career. So, him coming in and being positive and encouraging guys, you see him standing up at, various points while he's on the bench supporting his younger guys, him being proactive in huddles, everything, just talking it up with us, the coaches, talking it up with his teammates, giving great feedback and great observation. And so that's just who he is. That's who he's been. And that's why, him and his teams have always done well, just him applying himself to the group, not just to his own agenda.
And again, that was Darvin Ham talking after the 133-107 Lakers win over the Pistons in Detroit. Darvin also clarified that Jackson Hayes, I was about to call him Jarvis Hayes, very different player from a very different era, but Jackson Hayes hurt his elbow during the game. It wasn't entirely clear what was going on with it, that him sitting out the second half was really as much precautionary as anything else because there was really no need to put him back in the game. He's going to be further evaluated, but hopefully Jackson will be available tomorrow in Oklahoma City because, they need all hands on deck, all of, possibilities of player combinations, just everybody that they can throw at OKC because OKC is a really good team. I also thought what Darvin said about LeBron's spirit and that energy was really important. LeBron was as angry as I can recall seeing him as a Laker after any loss following that Philadelphia debacle, the 44-point loss. And when LeBron was asked about, what things that he thinks need changing, what changes would he be looking for? His answer was just a lot. He was asked to elaborate on it. He's basically said, what part of a lot do you not understand? And that can be taken a lot of different ways. LeBron does a lot of this type of cryptic messaging, as I call it, passive-aggressive. And, stuff like that can feel like there's tension brewing, like there's potential fracturing of this team. It could also just be a message being sent. Like, look, some of the things that need to change is we need a whole lineup of players. We need everybody healthy so we know what we have. They need to start knocking down more outside shots. I mean, that's something that does need to change. But then you start thinking about, the 5-out scheme that they've been running. Does it work for this team? You start thinking about defensive coverages that LeBron went out of his way to say, yeah, we were running what we were supposed to be running against the Sixers, and they made shots. And it felt easy to read into the idea that LeBron was saying, I don't know what we were being asked to do, and it didn't make any sense to me. We did it, but I think that should change. So, again, LeBron is the leader of this team, and you look for him to point out things and to weigh in on stuff that he thinks needs changing because beyond being LeBron James, he's one of the smartest basketball minds in NBA history. But it's also important that his mood doesn't potentially lead the team in a negative direction during a period where mentally they could be vulnerable because that loss to Philly was flat out embarrassing. So Darvin talking about how LeBron may have been angry in that moment, but then quickly let it go. He flushed it because he recognized they needed to take care of this game, make sure they have a 500 road trip, and they need to make sure that they are in the right mental space against OKC tomorrow because, again, the Thunder are a really good team. We will talk about that coming up next. Also try to hear from D'Angelo Russell, who was the player of this game, just terrific, 35 points. So definitely hear all that. Want to hear your calls, 877-710-ESPN if you want to weigh in. This is the Lakers postgame show on 710 ESPN.
this is Anthony Davis of your Los Angeles Lakers.
Hi, it's LeBron. The Lakers play here.
It's time for Lakers Postgame.
You need a break from the everyday? Well, Laker fans, it may be your lucky day because tonight Fantasy Springs Resort Casino is giving away 2 nights plus dinner, golf, or bowling for 2. Make any day your lucky day. Book now at fantasysprings.com. Andy Kamenetsky on the Lakers postgame show. The Lakers put a thumping on the Detroit Pistons, 133-106. Just from start to finish, they absolutely controlled this game. 133-107. Still a pretty big victory, though. I'm not going to take that 1 point away from them. But this was a night where the Lakers absolutely needed to control a game, coming off the bad taste in their mouths from losing by 44 in Philly. I know it's Detroit. I know that they are awful. I know that they are now 2-16. My Lord, that is terrible. 15 straight losses. But it was important that the Lakers won this game and won it decisively. I really do think that matters, led by standout performances from D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis. Nice, solid supporting work from LeBron James, if you want to call 28, 8, and 4 supporting. But in the grand scheme of what happened in this game, it kind of was. Taurean Prince, quietly his outside shot starting to pick up a bit. He was 3 of 4 from behind the arc in this game for his 9 points. The last 3 or 4 games, Taurean's starting to hit some outside shots, and that is really important for this team. The Lakers brought him in to defend and hit outside shots. To be honest, over almost 20 games, Taurean's performance has been underwhelming, so it would be nice to see him start heating up a bit. I want to take a call. Jacob in Beverly Hills. You're on the Lakers postgame show. What's up? Jacob, you there? Jacob, you there? All right, well, Jacob, if you got disconnected, call back. We do want to hear from you. We are seeing you on the line. It's gone now. Well, Jacob, give a call if you can. Definitely, we will put you back on. We do want to hear from you. In the meantime, though, let's hear from D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo, during the course of any season, the team's going to have higher stress moments than others, and I would say coming off a 4-point loss would be one that would qualify. How did you feel like the team responded, not just with tonight's result, but the way the film session and discussed the Philly game amongst yourselves to have the right approach tonight?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, whenever you come out like that and it's an embarrassing loss, you want to come back and respond the right way. Obviously, a lot of people, everybody's going through what they're going through. Coach was blessed enough to share with us what he was going through off the floor, and it just gave us extra motivation to come out and really want to respond the right way.
You guys have enough offensive talent where it's maybe something surprising that it hasn't totally clicked yet for you guys as a group, but is part of the challenge, like, I mean, tonight, like, you had it going, and then other guys have to find ways to kind of play off you, and then tomorrow it might be someone else. Is that going to be the way that you think this group is going to have to kind of operate?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a lot of teams, and that's kind of how it works. And when the ball finds the guy that's kind of making that happen, instead of us trying to force it, I was hot a little bit, and I found us kind of trying to get me the ball, and I've been around that a few times, and just the basketball guys find a way to not respond that way. So just take what the game gives you. If it's your night, just play the right way, and you'll feel good about it. But when you try to dictate what the game's going to do or things like that, it always finds a way to bite you. So just trying to stay true to the game.
D'Angelo, just on when your first shot, your second shot, can you feel a rhythm come at a certain point? Like, when does it get to the point where you know that you're in this kind of rhythm, the one you're in tonight?
I don't know. It's my first time this year, I feel like, getting into that rhythm. So for me was just trying to stay locked in the whole game. Never know when it was going to, continue to happen for me or continue to make shots at a high rate like that. I always find myself getting into that rhythm and then shoot myself out of that rhythm with a heat check or something like that. So I just tried to just stay in that rhythm and play the right way and just take what they were giving me. And you looked up and I put together an efficient game.
First quarters had been an issue for you this year. I think it was minus 90 heading into tonight. Obviously, tonight was a lot better. What have you noticed about the first, not just the first unit, but like the second unit, how the quarters have gone, and as you guys have kind of broken down the film over the first part of the season?
I don't really know. I think that's something we're still figuring out.
And I thought it was interesting to hear D'Lo talk about how sometimes the heat check can be a little dangerous. And all of a sudden you can be in rhythm. You get a little bit greedy. You put up that heat check 3, and all of a sudden you take yourself out of the flow of what had been working because in that one moment you actually forced it, and that's where it all breaks apart from you. Like D'Lo made a point of saying, I looked up and I'm having a really efficient night. And I thought that was in and of itself interesting observation. D'Lo's a pretty introspective guy as a player and as a person. So I thought that was interesting and good to see him in a nice rhythm, nice flow, because tomorrow's game against OKC, man, that ain't no joke. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think right now could be on the list of MVP candidates. He's coming off a first-team All-NBA season last year, currently averaging almost 31 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, almost 2.5 steals per game. And Chet Holmgren, little under 18 points a game, 8 rebounds, little under 3 assists, a little over 2 blocks per game. They recently played the Sixers, and his line against Joel Embiid, 33 points, 13 to 21 from the field, 5 of 11 from 3, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks. You throw in solid support from Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, their rookie, Cason Wallace, I think is an interesting player. That building's hard to play in, man. That's going to be a tough game. So good to see the Lakers in a good headspace heading to Oklahoma City. But now it is time for, what do we call this? The kids in the social media. What's going on back there behind the glass? The kids in the social media with DeAndre, with Parker, and with Reagan. Okay, youths, entertain me.
Thanks, AK. We're excited to be here. This is Reagan's first time behind the mic, so
welcome, Reagan.
Thank you.
The one and only Reagan Combs, the pride of SDSU, Andy, and of course.
Oh, you didn't have to tell me.
Hailing from, I know, hailing from the middle of nowhere, Iowa. So shout out to Reagan Combs. We're happy to have you here.
I spent 2 weeks in Ames once. It was awful.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so was I.
Okay, so I want to start out with LeBron James' outfit going up to the game today.
Okay.
He had this all-green outfit, but specifically his shoes. He had these, like, green, furry, sparkly, dirty shoes with peace signs on them. They were the Cactus Plant Flea Market Nike Flea 1. And then he paired it with these green trousers, a green hoodie, a green beanie, and a green shirt to go over it.
Okay, that is a sign of 2 things. One, LeBron is Nike's most important athlete, so they give him quite literally everything. LeBron also has more money than he possibly knows what to do with. Like, he's just buying cactus outfits. Like, just because why not? I need to spend it on something. That is the ultimate FU money, and good for you, LeBron. You've earned it.
Yeah, if you're following us across all platforms at ESPN Los Angeles, we'll repost the shoes. I mean, they literally look like somebody murdered the Grinch and then covered it.
I want to make it clear, it was not LeBron.
Yeah,
we are not throwing out LeBron accusations. He didn't murder the Grinch.
Just decided to wear them.
He was in Detroit. We know he was in Detroit. He did not murder.
Alibi.
Well, we don't know where the Grinch is, though.
What's next for us, Reagan?
I was looking at our Twitter, and there was some posts that were stating that D'Angelo Russell, like, when he plays bad teams, he does better. And then we saw some posts comparing him to OK Lake Show posted a video on Twitter of a Magic Johnson highlight with the caption, D'Angelo Russell against bad teams. And then there was also another Twitter post that Parker and I were talking about, and it was Clark Kent and Superman. And the user compared it to D'Angelo Russell when he plays good and bad teams.
I mean, Twitter is undefeated when it comes to cruelty. I mean, look, I said this at the top of the show. D'Lo's a polarizing player. He's been that way since the Lakers drafted him. He's been that way since he was in Brooklyn. He's been that way since he was in Golden State. Been that way since he was in Minnesota. And he is currently that way in his second tour with the Lakers. He's just always been somebody that's polarized fans, somebody that has polarized people who cover the NBA. And, you know, he has flaws that in a lot of ways I don't think he can fix. Like, he's talked about this before. Like, there are certain elements of like high-end NBA athleticism and strength that he does not have, and he's not going to be able to develop them. Like, it just isn't going to happen. You try to offset it as best as you can, but, you know, those type of weaknesses, and I think in some ways his demeanor, he's got a casual personality. I think that stuff makes him polarizing as well, but I got to be honest, I think D'Lo's actually having a really good year so far. I think over 19 games, D'Lo's been pretty good. His play, look at DeAndre. DeAndre's giving me this look like, what?
I don't know, man. I think kind of disagree to agree a little bit, man. I don't know. Just so, I feel like he takes a lot of plays off. Offensively, he's really strong-minded, but defensively is where the effort kind of lacks. Me personally,
it can. It absolutely can. But I think his playmaking though this year has been quite good. He's shooting like 40% from behind the arc. I think he's shooting close to 50% from the field. You know, he's about 18-ish points a game.
I agree, but I feel like, you know, when it comes down to crunch time, like they can't even play him towards the end of the games because they can't rely on him defensively. So
well, I mean, as long but if you've got 5 other guys you can play at crunch time, what difference does it make?
No, I hear you.
I mean, are you paying his salary? What do you care, DeAndre?
I'm not paying his salary, but you know, I have a No,
I hear what you're saying, but to me that only becomes a problem if they don't have 5 guys they can play at crunch time, and like D'Lo's salary prevents that from happening. And so far that doesn't seem to be the case. You know, I mean, frankly, the Lakers have had enough struggles right now that, you know, their perfect crunch time lineup is a little bit cart ahead of the horse. But also, too, like, D'Lo doesn't seem upset, like to the point of outward pouting, if he isn't closing. So, you know, I'm sure he would prefer to, but as long as he maintains the right attitude and as long as you've got 5 guys that can close, you know, the beginning of the game matters too. I think sometimes we forget about that. Like, sometimes if you play well enough in the beginning, you don't go to crunch time. You know, you'd rather avoid crunch time if you can. And that, DeAndre.
Speaking of D'Lo, the Lakers fans are going to love this. NBA on ESPN on Twitter, they quoted, D'Lo becomes the first Lakers guard with 35 points on 75% shooting since the Mamba. So, Lakers fans, you know, I know you love that. D'Lo said in postgame he's getting in the groove. First game, he's feeling it. So, you know, we'll see how things are going moving forward.
Look, he had a really good game tonight. And, you know, honestly, they need him taking more threes because this team, first of all, they don't take enough shots, period. Heading into this game, they were ranked overall last in field goal attempts, and they take mostly twos. So if you're taking mostly twos, you really have to put up more shots. But D'Lo at around 40%, I think he's shooting less than 6 threes a game, like about 5.5. That's something like 75th in the league. Like, they need him actually taking more. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this. They actually, right now, the way LeBron's shooting, they need LeBron to take more threes. Like, he's shooting close to 40% too. He's only at about 6 per game.
What about Anthony Davis? No threes for him?
He's going to take 6 a season, I think. Anything else, youths?
Here, I'll toss this last one to Reagan. We know that when you're in Detroit, it might be hard to see the stars like you see here in LA, but there were a couple LA, you know, parallel situations here, so Reagan has a couple that she'll toss to you.
Stu Lance is a color commentator that played for Detroit in 1972 to 1974. Mm-hmm. So that was cool with that Los Angeles connection. And then Amon Ra.
St. Brown.
Yes, St. Brown, Detroit Lions. Wide receiver, played for USC in Los Angeles.
So good.
If you have him on your fantasy team, you got a good team.
We agree on this, right, DeAndre? Amon-Ra St. Brown, really good?
Really good.
Okay, yeah, he is really, really good. Whole family's athletic.
One more thing. The Detroit Pistons have gone throughout the whole month without winning.
Yep.
no
They
winning
are
in
0 for
November.
November.
Yeah,
Don't they have
that's
another
right.
game tomorrow?
They got one more chance.
I don't think so. No,
No, they don't.
Tomorrow against the Knicks.
You've been all botching these schedules tonight. It's just like
I'm just gonna be quiet and let the kids do it.
it. But yeah, they're probably gonna go over in November.
Wow. Well, Andy, thank you for having us. Of course, Reagan
Thank
Combs. Be sure to, you can find her on social media. Where can we find you?
Reagan Combs on Instagram. It's just Reagan.Combs, but it's not spelled like Ronald Reagan. It's REGAN.COMBS.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, AK.
Nice debut, Reagan.
Thank
All right.
you.
Reminder, do not miss a minute of the action this season. All Laker games are now streaming on the ESPN LA app. Download the ESPN LA app in the App Store or Google Play. Next broadcast is going to be tomorrow. Lakers in OKC facing a really, really good Thunder squad. Local coverage beginning at 3:30 Pacific time with the tip at 5 p.m. Obviously, we want you to be listening to it right here. And Andy Kamenetsky, I've been in for Beto Duran. This has been the Lakers postgame show on 710 ESPN.
Lakers.